You know, sometimes a company just gets lucky. Right place, right time. But what's happening with Oklo, it's something else entirely. We're talking about a company standing at the crossroads of three huge, world-changing forces. So today, we're going to break down how Oklo is riding this perfect storm of government policy, the AI boom, and its own really unique technology. Let's dive in. So, to really get what's happening with Oklo, we got to zoom out and look at the big picture. And as their CEO, Jacob DeWitt, says, this isn't just some small policy change we're seeing. No, this is a historic shift. We're talking about massive external forces that are creating this, well, once-in-a-generation opportunity for the whole nuclear industry. And this perfect storm is really a trifecta of massive tailwinds pushing things forward. First up, you've got these executive orders that are basically clearing the runway, streamlining licensing, unlocking fuel, the whole deal. Then there's this major bill, which some are calling the One Big Beautiful Bill, that's locking in tax credits and loan programs, giving the industry financial muscle. And maybe the biggest driver of all, America's AI Action Plan. This plan flat out says that the future of AI needs a ton of new, reliable power. Right, so a new nuclear moment. But why now? I mean, for decades, nuclear power was kinda stuck, right? A slow-moving industry, to put it nicely. So what was the spark? What lit the fuse that caused this massive acceleration all of a sudden? Well, the answer really boils down to one word: data. Or more specifically, the absolutely insatiable hunger for energy from AI and all the data centers that power it. The AI Action Plan is super explicit about this. It basically says, hey, you want to lead the world in AI, then you better have a power grid that can handle it. And we're not talking about just adding a few more solar panels here. We're talking about building brand new sources of clean 24/7 power. And just like that, advanced nuclear is front and center. Okay, so we've got this perfect storm of policy and demand. But Oklo, they aren't just getting swept along by the current. No, they're like a ship that was built for this storm. So let's get into their game plan and see how their tech and their business model are so perfectly designed to ride these waves. So what exactly is a fast reactor? At the core of Oklo's whole strategy is this design. And here's the thing. It's not some brand new, untested idea. It's actually based on proven tech, like the EBR-2 reactor, that ran successfully for 30 years. The big deal here is how it uses fuel. Think of it like a super efficient furnace. It can burn fresh fuel, sure, but what's really amazing is that it can also run on recycled nuclear material. It literally turns what we call waste today into a massive new source of energy. And it's not just the tech that's different, it's their entire business model. You see, the traditional way is for a company to design a reactor and then sell the blueprints to a big utility. Oklo, they're flipping that completely on its head. They plan to build, own, and operate their powerhouses themselves. They sell the power directly to customers. This gives them total control, recurring revenue, and lets them focus like a laser on making the whole process efficient and cost-effective. This different way of thinking even extends to how they train people. I love this analogy from the CEO. He compares it to aviation. Instead of training an operator for just one specific, unique plant, Oklo is aiming for what's called a type rating. Basically, a trained operator can run any of their standard class plants anywhere. It's a system that's just built for efficiency and, more importantly, for scaling up fast. All right, the fuel advantage. Let's talk about unlocking energy abundance. Look, every nuclear company has to deal with fuel supply. It's the name of the game. But this is another place where Oklo seems to have really thought ahead, building what looks like a serious competitive edge that gives them supply security and a long-term cost advantage. Their strategy is pretty brilliant, actually. It's a three-step plan. For their first plants, step 1 is using fuel they've already secured from government stockpiles. Step 2, for the medium term, is all about building out a commercial supply chain with key partners. But step 3, that's the long game. The goal is to eventually recycle used nuclear fuel themselves, creating their own vertically integrated, cost-effective fuel source, a closed loop. And just to give you a sense of how big of a deal this recycling part is, get this. The energy that's just sitting there, locked up in what we currently call spent nuclear fuel in the US alone, it's equivalent to about 1.2 trillion barrels of oil. Let that sink in. That is almost 5 times the proven oil reserves of Saudi Arabia. And Oklo's tech is designed to unlock that incredible amount of energy. Another really smart part of their plan is how they build these things. It comes down to a simplified supply chain. If you look at this chart, you'll see that a whopping 70% of the parts in an Oklo powerhouse are not specialized nuclear-grade components. They can be sourced from regular industrial supply chains. This is huge. It slashes costs, it cuts down on complexity, and it seriously reduces the risk of delays. It's what could allow them to scale way faster than old-school nuclear projects. Okay, so that's the strategy, the game plan. But you know what they say? A plan is just a plan. Execution is everything. So let's shift gears and look at the real, tangible progress Oklo is making right now based on their latest report. First things first, money. They are very well capitalized. We're talking about $683 million in cash and marketable securities. That is a massive financial runway, and it's absolutely critical for a company that's building this kind of major infrastructure. It means they have the funds to actually execute their plan, and they're definitely not trying to do this all by themselves. They're building a dream team of partners, a whole ecosystem, really. They've got Kiewit, a construction giant, lined up to actually build the first powerhouse. They're collaborating with Korea's KHNP, a global nuclear powerhouse, to look at projects around the world. And they're working directly with the end users, partnering with Vertiv for data centers, and with Liberty Energy to help companies switch from gas to nuclear. And guess what? Customers are paying attention. This is a huge piece of news. Oklo was selected as the intended awardee to power a U.S. military base. This would be the very first time an advanced fission reactor has been deployed for the military. It's a massive validation and really highlights the national security angle of their tech. They're also making solid regulatory progress, which is, a huge hurdle for any nuclear company. The NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, just finished a Phase 1 readiness check on their license application and, get this, found no significant gaps. That is a major step forward, and it really reinforces that they're on the right track with this super complex approval process. So, powering the future. Let's step back for a second. When you put it all together, the proven tech, the smart business model, all these partnerships, what does this journey ahead really look like? What does it all mean for the future of energy? Well, it means one thing for sure: incredible demand. This one number, 14 gigawatts, pretty much says it all. That is the size of Oklo's current pipeline of potential customers. And these aren't just any customers. We're talking data centers, defense, utilities, and heavy industry, the exact sectors that are crying out for new, reliable power. So if you take away one thing from all this, it should be this story of convergence. What Oklo is doing is combining proven reactor technology based on decades of real-world operation with a much smarter, vertically integrated business model. And they're doing it at the exact moment that demand from these critical, high-growth sectors is just absolutely exploding. Look, Oklo is building the energy platform for the world's next great era of growth, an era that's going to be defined by AI. The final question is this: will the future arrive on schedule? They seem to have the tech, the money, and the momentum. The question isn't really if this future is coming. It's more like, are we ready for everything it's about to unlock?